Hello, Good Stuff family. I have with us today a family that's good stuff, quintessential good stuff. It was a family, not by blood that you're looking at, but a family that is forever connected by classic the good stuff. And it happened, if you saw the title, we're calling it LinkedIn Lifesaver, because who isn't on LinkedIn, right? We all know what it's for, what it's supposed to be for connecting, for helping us find the next job and staying up to date, resumes and all that. But what happened via LinkedIn, with this amazing group I'm about to introduce you to, is something that it gives me goosebumps, because it is together we can, together we will, and God weaves. Now watch him work. It's a perfect example of that. So, by way of quick introductions, Kendra Ramirez is kind of the nucleus of all of this. What's how this started. She lives in Cincinnati. Melissa and Randy down there, they are each other's love of each other's lives. They are married and able to share this day with us because of a liver transplant that he had, a gift of life 12 years ago in February, I believe. That's why he's even able to come to us today and share this story. Jamie Starr is a phenomenal man in and of himself, but he'll tell you he often is not referred to as Jamie Starr, but Tom Starr's son, because Tom Starr is a hero. He is an absolute hero. He's the reason we're all sit here today. We'll go into that more. That's his dad. And Elaine Turley is my friend here in Cleveland, who runs the Transplant House of Cleveland, that has so many good stuff stories coming out of there. You know what we find? Often the best good stuff comes out of the not so good stuff, right? Really, the stuff that has us going, really, God, really, God. That's what we say, really, God. But inevitably, we end up saying, oh, really, God. And this is what's happening here. Wait, so is this microphone in the way, you guys? Can you even see it? Okay. Again, it's technology, and technology is not my friend. I'm assuming it's even working, because it might be on the, on the run of the mill audio, but whatever, we have it here in case it is. So, Kendra, will you start us out? You happened to be doing like a webinar for LinkedIn, right? This was 12 years ago. Take us back.
I can barely remember what I did 2 days ago. So yeah, 12 years ago, actually it was 13 years ago, we were leading a workshop, and I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn. And I was leading a workshop on using LinkedIn for business development. And we always kick off our workshops with having everyone in the room introduce themselves, a little bit about their background, why they were there. And one gentleman that happened to be there that day, he had saw my post on LinkedIn that I was hosting this event, and he showed up. And he's like, I own a nonprofit called Miracles for Life. And I'm like, oh, tell us more about it. And he's just like, I really help people, just through the recovery of transplants. So I couldn't in that moment tell him what was going on with my family. But afterwards, I asked him, I was like, hey, do you have a minute? As we closed out the workshop, he and I were packing up and talking. And I go on to tell him, like, my brother-in-law is on the transplant list. And he's like, no way. Tom actually went through 2 liver transplants. And so that's where his heart is. And I'd love for Jamie to tell more about, like,
I was going to say, maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll make it like a woven story. Okay. Let's have
Tom for Jamie to tell it.
We're going to come back to you. But yes. So Tom, Jamie, here she's met your amazing father, Tom. And at this point, he had been the recipient of 2 life-saving transplants. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right. So my dad served in the Army, and through a blood transfusion had, this is like back in the 60s before they were doing a lot of the testing of blood, had picked up a disease through a blood transfusion that was starting a chronic disease that kind of attacked his liver. So in 1988, he was number 250 of the UCLA Transplant Center to receive a liver transplant. So one of the first 250 to ever receive a liver transplant. Fast forward another 18 years, that same disease that kind of attacked the first liver was never fully cured. So in 2006, he went back on the transplant list here at the University of Cincinnati. And through the work of Dr. Ron Woodle and some other people at the University of Cincinnati, he was one of the first people to receive a second liver transplant. So I was 12 years old when he got his first transplant and was able to get another 16, 17 years with him after the first one, and then was fortunate enough for him to get the next one in 2006 and got another 7 years with my dad that I never would have had before. And that's all based on the altruism and the life affirming donation of people signing their organ donation cards and letting their family members know that this is the wish that they want. So it takes someone's sacrifice for me to have some benefit, but it's something that I truly appreciate. And that's kind of where this story picks up and moves forward.
Yeah, and that someone else's loss is never lost on us when we tell these stories. So, and I believe that some liver transplant, I know for a fact because we did it, Brody's Good Vibe Tribe, can be living donors and they give parts, right? But in your dad's case, he received complete livers from a donor who had passed.
Yes.
Donors. Okay. So Tom shares this story with you, Kendra. And you just showed up to you're just trying to keep it real. You got paid a minimum amount to help people learn how to use LinkedIn to better network. At this point, when you hear this story, you both have tears streaming down your face. Do you know?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, it was so crazy. Like, I was like, I cannot believe this is happening. You were talking about God. I was like, this is like crazy. But then the story gets better. So Tom's like, hey, let me make a couple of calls. He's like, I know the chief transplant surgeon in Louisville, Kentucky. I about fell out of my chair. I go, Louisville, Kentucky? That's where my brother-in-law and sister live.
Perfect. Okay, stop there. Pause. I feel like a DJ. Pause. Now that takes us to Melissa and Randy. Let's go ahead and make sure we hear your story. Melissa's your sister. Beautiful. I can see the resemblance. Hearts and faces. Gorgeous. Inside and out, these two. And Melissa's love of her life there, Randy, is waiting for all things, a liver transplant. So give us a window, if you would, Melissa and Randy, into your world then. What were you living with that was the story that she kind of relayed onto them in Cincinnati? Oh, excuse me, not Cincinnati. Where was it yet? We're not.
Yeah. No, that's correct.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay. Good. Yeah. So give us a window into the reality of what you're up against. There was no guarantee that you would be here to speak with us today, was there, Randy?
No, actually, I was pretty low on the list. I kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker, but my MELD score, which is what they determine when you get a liver, where you're at on the list, I kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. My MELD score didn't get no worse. It just kept staying about the same. And I didn't know. I thought I was going crazy because one of the symptoms of cirrhosis when you get in the late stages is you get really confused. It's called hepatic encephalopathy, but your liver can't function to get rid of the toxins and ammonia, so it goes up here. So I pretty much thought it was over. I mean, I really even considered killing myself before I was going to go crazy. So it was desperation. I mean, I thought it was the end. I didn't know anything really about transplantation other than I went to some classes, but it was real general stuff, and I couldn't really relate to what they were saying. And that's when Kendra called and gave me Tom's number. And I called him, and it was a godsend.
Godsend.
Oh, it was, I often say that, sometimes we need God with skin on it.
Ooh, I love it.
And that's what Tom was for me because, empathy is one of the most powerful things there is, really. Somebody can identify with what you've been through. And he was able to walk me through a lot of the stuff and tell me what was going to happen, the things I was going through. He assured me I wasn't going crazy. It was part of it. Yeah. And so, he walked me through that. And he was just so supportive that it just made all the difference in the world. I don't think I could have did it without him. And the fact that by him knowing Dr. Buell, who did my surgery, the chief of it, not only did he know him, he got me, he helped me get the liver, and Dr. Buell did my surgery as well. So I had the main guy doing my liver when I needed it. So.
And when you talk about Tom, been there, done that twice. So to have someone, A, that you could relate to, and hope is the word that keeps coming to my mind. He gave you hope. You went from desperation to hope.
Yeah, and that's really what it was about. You know, hope's big on demand and short on supply.
Mm.
Say,
Wow.
and
I love that.
And so what happened was that, you know, it motivated me to, one of the things I did, the only thing I really miss a whole lot about Louisville to Florida, we live in Florida now, is the fact that for about 7 years I volunteered at a transplant center.
Elaine loves to hear that, I know.
Yeah. So, you know what, it just did what Tom taught me, just be there for somebody else and be able to help people through it. It's just something about, you know, it's like survivors on a crash or something. The camaraderie is just so powerful.
Right.
When you can identify with somebody. So, you know, it's like Tom, I talked to somebody, he made sense. He was alive, he was well, and I thought, you know, like I said, it was a death sentence, really. So, you know, that's what I tried to represent for when I volunteered down at the transplant center in Louisville, was just hope to people.
Yes, hope. And I'm going to say it again. You know why? Because I can. Together we can, together we will. God weaves. Now watch him work, especially in the really God moments. Take the one next best step. What can we do in this day, in this hour? I'll share this now. It's been 6 years and some change since my dad, who was the rock for us, passed away shortly after he retired from liver cancer, y'all. Liver cancer. And it was quick. It was quick. They said it was a tumor that was terribly advanced, but his liver looked good. They thought they could do surgery, and maybe he won't even need chemo. Within a matter of weeks, he turned green. It spread to some duct. Now he's not even a candidate for transplantation, which all you know, obviously. And we were like, I'm sorry, what just happened? And so his whole mantra growing up in our lives is together we can, together we will. He signed every card with that. I still have his handwriting on my refrigerator. I have goosebumps even thinking of how he probably is friends with Tom right now, you know, right? And I see him smiling down going, weave, go. You know, it's like the thread and the needle that just has such unlimited potential to do good. And our friend Cheryl passed away almost 2 years ago, 44 years old, liver cancer. And she, before she passed, she said, Donnie, I need you to keep on swimming. I need you to strengthen your flippers, like these sea turtles that you see, like when they're so cute trying to get to the ocean and you want to pick them up because they're so cute and help them. And she relayed the story that if you pick them up, you're not helping them because they didn't get to strengthen their flippers to be strong to swim. I was like, oh, so I bought a set of 3 of these in St. Louis a little while ago. One to my mom, my dad's wife, who has dementia, and he was her rock. We didn't even realize then how much. She has one, and my friend Gina, who's listening in here as well, has one. And we keep saying, strengthen your flippers, strengthen your flippers. That comes from a liver cancer person who was fighting. She was fighting. That's how I met her doing a story. And she ultimately lost the battle. 2 of them in heaven now, angels of mine, from liver cancer. And now I add to my family this survivor, liver survivor, transplant survivor. And I love that you said Tom was in the Army. My dad was in the Navy. Again, big thanks and gratitude to everyone who serves. Y'all are my people. And I don't know where you were, but LinkedIn links in many ways beyond what you think. And here it is. Someone is alive today because of it. So Tom passed in 2013, correct, Jamie? Mm-hmm. But we know, this is what I try to tell people in the good stuff, when you follow the good stuff stories, like do what you can do today, because that's the thing, the legacy of our future. And even he's been gone since 2013. I feel like I know him. I'm inspired by him. So I would propose to all of us that we try to be that people, to see the good and be the good through all of this, right? So, okay, so if we could go back to Kendra, the narrator, as we weave this story. You hooked this up. You hooked all of this up. But it was not, like I said, it all linked back to Cincinnati as well, didn't it, somehow?
Well, yeah, I mean, Tom and I were here in Cincinnati, and then when Tom was telling me about knowing the chief surgeon of transplants in Louisville and the fact that, my sister and brother-in-law lived in Louisville and connecting, them from that perspective, that was just incredible. And so, yeah, it just, being able, I just love hearing Randy retell the story. Like, that's just fantastic.
Isn't that great? And Melissa, you of course know this story. You were with him through all of this, but for you hearing it again, give me a window into your heart. Now, I think, oh yeah, I can see you on this screen. I see your face. I'm like, can you see me now? How about a window into I can see it in your smile and hearing that story again from Randy. Help me to understand how you feel in this moment.
Well, I first want to point out the fact that I don't know if you can see them behind me, but I have 2 sea turtles in my painting behind me. So it weaves even further, right? I mean, can you see them?
I didn't see it. I see it now. Come on.
Yeah. So I was like dying as you were talking.
Come on.
So yeah, God comes through us in many, many ways.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've already been crying, so we can all cry.
And I don't even have a tissue, and no one's home that I can be like, I spent 20 years here in Cleveland as a reporter under all layers of makeup, and usually I'm not. I did put a little on for this special occasion. But this is why, because you end up looking like Tammy Faye Baker when you meet these people. No offense, rest her soul. And I know I just dated myself, like anyone younger than 30 doesn't even know who I'm talking about. But nonetheless, this is a good reason to lose the makeup. That's wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
sometimes I feel like if he struck us with lightning, we don't hear him louder. Do you feel
seriously?
Yeah. So cool. Okay, so again, so Melissa, give us a window then. When you hear this love of your life, when you hear him, Randy, saying again why he's here today, how does that make you feel today?
I mean, words can't express how grateful I am to have him here, and how grateful I am to the family that made the sacrifice, and how grateful I am to Tom for taking that goodness and spreading it, and grateful to my sister for being open to pursuing. And I'll never forget when she called and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I had a total God moment. I had a total God moment." So,
right.
Just we have a lot to be grateful for. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the day to day, but I'm learning to appreciate those synchronicities that we call God makes.
There it is. Synchronicities, right? Serendipitous moments almost, and that's the thing that I love about these stories. So, okay, I don't know anyone waiting for an organ. I'm not, I'm signed up to be a donor. How does this affect me? I'll tell you how, because whatever you're up against today, it seems a little less when you know what people like Tom and Randy have gone through, and to be inspired. All of the good stuff stories, they're real, raw, genuine, authentic. This is what this is. And they uplift, encourage, and inspire. And that means long after we're gone from these bodies, which especially after 2020, people who think we're guaranteed tomorrow, so how can we today start to see the good and be the good? And that's what y'all are doing. And I know Elaine here in Cleveland at the Transplant House, when you hear a story like this is what you live for. You have a calling, my friend, not just a career. Give us a kind of a window into really the need that you see the numbers, the need for more of these happy ending stories that end with the gift of life.
Yeah. Well, thank you for letting me be part of this conversation, because this is a really special and very moving story. So even though I work tangentially in transplant, this just amazes me and touches me very deeply. And 12 years later, you're all still so moved by it. So very cool. and to be part of the group here. My father was a liver recipient in 1992 at the Cleveland Clinic. So he gave, his illness stemmed from him having Crohn's disease for most of his life. He was a healthy Crohn's patient, but he reached a point where the clinic said, you're going to need a liver. And we were very fortunate. He only waited 54 days. He was a big man. He could take any size liver. And he did spectacularly with it. We did 10 years with our dad. And believe me, that changed our lives. When he sat us 4 adult children of his down and said over dinner, I need to have a liver transplant, we all looked at each other and said, are those experimental? You know, how do you get those? And so there's been a lot of learning, and I think like all of you, I wouldn't choose the path we've been on. And because of our experience as a family, I became a founder of Transplant House of Cleveland. And what happens here with great frequency is what Randy just described happening with Tom. You know, I wrote down, it's like we're all survivors on a crash, you know. So we have 25 fully furnished apartments here. And then I'm sitting in a 2-family house where we do our gathering. We bring all of our guests together. And that's what happens. You know, over dinner, somebody who's brand new to this and in shock and coming to be evaluated, to be placed on the transplant list, meets somebody across the table who's already received the gift of life. And as Tom was for you, Randy, it's just living proof and hope that this can happen. So what I love about our work here is we just create the space and what I call a radical welcome. And people come and they immediately know, somewhat by walking on this campus, that they're in a very special place. I think they are awestruck because somebody created a place for them and they didn't expect to have that. You know, they imagine, I'll go stay in a hotel somewhere and, you know, feel very alone. So, you know, we create a space and people take care of each other, and it's so on a daily basis, so uplifting to watch. Dawn, I know you asked about the need, and I don't have the stats in front of me. I mean, we're full now. All 25 apartments are full. I don't know if half are waiting. I would say it's probably a little bit less than half of our guests are pre-transplant waiting. The others are recovering. And as you probably know, recovery can have its highs and lows. Even if going smoothly, it takes just so much patience to get the medications right and gain your strength and adjust to the fact that your life has been saved, but it's still got a lot of demands and concerns, particularly when COVID is happening. We've had 3 guests come in need of lung transplants because they came down with COVID. And 2 of so far, we may have some others coming, but one of those was a 21-year-old young woman who did not make it. She was flown in from Buffalo and was just so sick and lungs didn't come in time. The other 2 men actually received their transplants and now are on the healing end of that. Wow. So we see the importance of, as Jamie referred to, those people who make that commitment and let their families know that that's what they're going to do at the end of their lives. We need more of those people. And it's, go ahead, Randy. Yeah.
I just said, yes, we do. We sure do.
Yeah. And living donors as well. The man that I had hoped to join us on this call, and we'll have to get him another time, Don, was somebody who stayed with us and gave part of his liver to an infant who would have died, a total stranger. And he had previously given one of his kidneys to a total stranger, just because he came into awareness that this was a way he could give. And you know, I think he's probably early 60s, and he just said, why would I not want to save a life? So yes, Dawn, we see the weaving just all the time, and people that meet here that make the difference for each other, as you're describing, that if not for this place, they never would have met. Yeah, and we see, it seems that we see a lot of male organ recipients being supported by a wife, and it's a lot of stress. I know the two of you can
Oh yeah, the stress gets you sometimes.
it's a lot of stress. And those who are with us are away from home, so they're living in, yes, an apartment that's really great, it's efficient, but it's an apartment. It's not the house at home. So they are kind of cooped up together, and stress is relieved when wives meet wives and husbands meet husbands, and then the pressure is taken off of the couple. So it's really lovely to see what happens.
And he is talk about a real life superhero. That man. What's his name?
This is Joe.
Joe.
Joe
God bless him. God bless Joe. And I feel like we have to, at the last minute, like literally an hour before this, I thought, I need to see if Elaine will join. And that's what happens. Now we have Cincinnati's connected in Florida and Cleveland. Who knows? You all have each other's emails. I CC'd you all in the same email. Who knows where we go from here? Hopefully we do another update about more live saved, right? And I feel like we have to say a quick prayer, if we could, for Tim, who is a gentleman who's living there with his wife, and he's very tall, 6 something, right?
He's about 5 maybe.
So he needs double lung transplant, and he needs lungs that are like twice the size of ours. And he was so close. Again, it pains me to even say when he's close, that means someone else is at the end, and we just honor them. We just honor those families, superheroes, and giving that gift of life. But nonetheless, they've gone back home now. And he's still waiting. So I since God has been part of this whole thing, I just say, Father God, we lift up Tim to you today, that maybe in the divine weaving, by divine design, not mine, not ours, but yours, could you give him the strength he needs to be strong? And we hold up the family that will end up hopefully giving him the gift of life and the loss that they'll feel, but in the way that that loved one lives on. We just lift him up in prayer right now, Father God, as well as everyone else who's listening to this, who has someone that you're holding up. Don't just keep the faith. Keep the faith. I think that Tom, Jamie, is this true? Was Tom again, he had Miracles for Life was the foundation that he started, but was he the oldest living double transplant? Is that correct?
I can't say one way or the other.
Okay.
He was one of the first, but there were some people that had longer or older transplants. His big thing was someone made a big sacrifice for him, so the least he could do was give back to the community and give back to people like Randy. And that's why it's so great to hear how Randy gives back. And the hardest part for my dad was being one of the first ones. There's not this big community. It was our family that was kind of like going through it. And he realized that if he had a voice and he could help other people get through these moments and know that there is another side, you'll come out on the other side stronger, and hopefully you'll be able to give back to the people that are helping you out as well. So he was really big on not just taking advantage of the technology, but also of making sure that the emotional side and giving back was there as well.
And I feel like I have to say this as well, that no matter how many years we get, a dynamo kid named Colin Nemeth here, we just buried him at 11 years old. He beat this brain tumor twice, but he wasn't supposed to. He was so faithful. I never saw a funeral like this. It was 3 hours to get up to see the parents. Candy stations all over the way he wanted it. In 11 years, he impacted and influenced and inspired more people than some people who live to be 100. So I say the message here is, if you're listening, none of us give forever. None of us give forever. So right here, right now, today is a good place to start. It's a really good place to start being the good. And y'all have done that. Like, I am so moved and so grateful for the introduction. And again, if you're just joining us, it all goes back to LinkedIn. And Kendra wrote an article, and I've put it in the comments. If you want to copy and paste it, y'all, before Well, of course, no, it'll be there. It saves. This will be, you can click right on as soon as we're finished as well, and it should still be in the comments. But that's a link to the article that she wrote. And I feel like, does anyone else have anything else you'd like to add? I was going to kind of wrap it up. I know we're going on a half hour. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Plus the dog, hold on. The dog needs to go outside. Hi.
Dogs and turtles.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's what happened to love animals. That's a little bit. And she's going to need to go outside in a little bit. But nonetheless, so what, is there anything else that anyone wants to add? Anything at all?
I just wanted to say thank you for putting this together and reconnecting all of us again. It's been over a decade since we've all kind of touched base, and it's really great to see everybody's faces and everybody doing well and moving forward and giving back. It's touching. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's really neat.
Thank you. Yeah, and maybe we have a reunion coming up. You know, we had the Good Stuff family reunion. Elaine was there, the first one, and maybe everyone come to Cleveland. It's a good place in the summer. Yeah. So, anyone else? Did I talk over anyone? Is anyone else that wanted to say anything at all?
The only thing I just want to say is it's really, love cures everybody. It cures the person who gives it, it cures the person who receives it. And that's what Tom gave me, and that's what I have received when I help other people. It's just about doing the best you can with what you've got to help somebody else.
Right. That's it. You all are real, you're authentic, and you're genuine. And you're change makers. You're the change makers. And if we don't get tomorrow, this day, y'all, you're doing the good stuff. And I'm just grateful. I'm so grateful. Some people, as a reporter, when I met them doing stories like Elaine, your life's going to be better for keeping them close. We're family now. It's official. I have y'all right here in my heart. And I'm so grateful. And again, I wanted to close with, these are your own words, Kendra, when we talk about LinkedIn, linking live, in ways that we don't automatically think of when we think of LinkedIn. And you said it best in the article. Kendra said, it's so important to get connected and stay connected. Networking doesn't have to feel icky, was the word you used. I love it because it's true. Oh my gosh, another webinar about how to get connected and social media, right? It can feel icky. That's a good word, right? So it's so important to get connected and stay connected. Networking doesn't have to feel icky. Just be curious about other people. You never know where it will lead. In other words, God weaves. And she said, it isn't always about business, meaning LinkedIn. It's life. It's life. In this case, it's the gift of life. Grow your relationships, not just followers. Boom. Drop the mic, Kendra. Look, if I didn't have my new fancy mic, I would drop it. I mean, that's it. That's it in a nutshell. So now I never think of LinkedIn the same way either. So just God bless you all. Sky's the limit. And we'll make sure we get back together and do a follow-up. Prayers up for Tim and everyone else waiting for the gift of life. And if you haven't committed through your driver's license, just do it if you would. To donate life. It's a gift truly that keeps on giving. These people are living proof in all the good that they're doing. So thank you for everyone who's listening. And I hate to even push end. I hate to push end broadcast, but I would submit that it's just the beginning. So God bless you. Be safe.
You too, Dawn. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I know.
Bye.